How is it going, good people of YouTube? Welcome to another concept series video. This one is going to be F.E.A.R, the game, the F.E.A.R Trilogy Remastered. I need to start doing more remastered concept series videos because um, I just want to do videos about remasters instead of just, online games and MMOs that I've been doing. So this is the first remastered concept series video. So it would be called either F.E.A.R Trilogy Remastered or F.E.A.R Legacy Collection, and it would be a complete remaster of the original trilogy, rebuilt from the ground up as a single interconnected experience with updated graphics, refined gameplay, and expanded narrative that ties the series together while addressing inconsistencies. The remaster targets modern platforms like, PC, PS5, Xbox, next gen VR, stuff like that, and introduces new content to appeal to both longtime fans and newcomers. The focus remains on blending fast-paced gunplay, psychological horror, and Alma's haunting. Uh, Alma is the ghost girl from the games. She kind of looks a little bit like Sadako, and Alma's haunting presence with modernized mechanics and a refreshed aesthetic. So the key features, unified narrative and expanded lore. So the story integration, so the trilogy is reconstructed as a single campaign with a seamless narrative flow and divided into 3 acts: F.E.A.R 1, F.E.A.R 2, and F.E.A.R 3. Retcons and inconsistencies, which would be F.E.A.R 3's controversial ending, are addressed through rewritten dialogue, new cutscenes, and optional lore collectibles, so things like audio logs, psychic visions, or, Armacham documents. So we have the expanded Alma mythos. Alma's backstory is deepened with new flashback sequences, include exploring her childhood, Project Origin experiments, and her connection to the protagonists, so Point Man and Paxton Fatel. Those are the main protagonists. These sequences are playable in VR for immersive horror, so the VR. So there would be a new epilogue chapter. So a new post F.E.A.R 3 chapter resolves lingering plot threads, focusing on the Point Man's struggle to contain Alma's lingering influence, and the remnants of Armacham's experiments. This chapter introduces a new psychic antagonist tied to Alma's legacy. And, modernized gameplay. So, refined combat. So the signature slow motion reflex time mechanic is enhanced with smoother animations, dynamic enemy reactions, and customizable upgrades. So things like extended duration and faster recharge. Gunplay is updated with tactile feedback, realistic recoil, and destructible environments inspired by modern shooters like Doom Eternal. So here's the enemy AI overhaul. So enemies, which would be like replica soldiers, Armachams, mercenaries, and paranormal entities would feature improved AI with squad-based tactics, adaptive strategies, and unique responses to player actions. Alma's apparitions dynamically disrupt battles, creating unpredictable encounters. Horror mechanics. So, new stealth and survival elements would amplify tension. Players can extinguish lights to avoid detection, but Alma's psychic interference, so things like hallucinations, environmental distortions, escalates as her influence grows. Resource scarcity in Resource scarcity in key sections heightens survival vibes. Next up we have co-op and multiplayer. F.E.A.R 3's co-op mode returns, with Pointman and Fattel playable in the full campaign. A new asymmetrical multiplayer mode pits players as F.E.A.R operatives against a player-controlled psychic entity manipulating the environment. So it's like, asymmetrical survival. Visual and audio overhaul. So the next-gen graphics, which would be built in Unreal Engine 5, the remaster features ray-traced lighting, volumetric fog, and photorealistic environments, iconic locations like the Armacham HQ, the slums from F.E.A.R 2, and the apocalyptic city from F.E.A.R 3 are reimagined with intricate detail and dynamic weather. So it's more realistic, more photorealistic, more realistic to what you'd see in real life. Next up we have the horror aesthetic. Alma's appearances are more visceral with improved facial animations and body horror elements inspired by games like Dead Space. Environments shift subtly based on her presence. So things like, blood seeping from walls and distorted geometry, stuff like that. Next up we have immersive audio. A remixed soundtrack retains the original's eerie ambience while adding 3D spatial audio. Almost whispers, enemy chatter, and environmental sounds would create a chilling soundscape, enhanced by Dolby Atmos support. Next up we have VR mode. So a dedicated VR mode for the entire campaign, optimized by the PSVR 2 MetaQuest and MetaQuest 3 and PC VR. Players experience almost hallucinations in first person with motion controls for weapons and reflex time. VR exclusive side missions. Explore Alma's psyche through surreal non-combat dreamscapes. So it's kind of like a little side quest thing, like a gallery maybe, something like that. Or wall. I don't exactly know the word for something like that. Just side missions basically. Next up we have quality of life improvements. So a unified progression system. So there would be like a skill tree which ties all three acts together, letting players upgrade reflex time, weapon proficiency, and psychic resistances. Choices impact story outcomes, so things like sparing or eliminating key characters would dictate where the story goes and stuff like that. Next up we have dynamic difficulty. So AI adjusts enemy aggression and resource availability based on player performance. ensuring accessibility for newcomers and challenge for veterans. Next up, here's another one. Here's a good one. Um, Mod support. So PC players can create custom levels, enemies, and campaigns using a bundled modding toolkit extending replayability. It's pretty cool. Mod support. You could add. You could make your own bosses in the game. You know, it's really cool. The art direction. So here's the tone. So the remaster balances the gritty industrial aesthetic of the original with the more cinematic atmospheric approach. Think Control meets Silent Hill, Control the game meets Silent Hill. Um, sterile corporate facilities decay into nightmarish Alma infused ruins. Um, Next up, we have Alma's design. So, Alma's iconic red dress and immaculate form are preserved but evolve across the trilogy, reflecting her growing power. Her child, teen, and adult forms appear dramatically with subtle with subtle visual cues tying her to the environment. So things like her shadow lingers in reflective surfaces, stuff like that. Next up, we have enemy variety. So new enemy types include mutated replica experiments and psychic echoes that mimic fallen allies. Classic enemies like heavy armor replicas and phase casters return with updated designs and behaviors. Um, Next up, we have some of the new content that would be cool to see in a game like this. So, new content, a prequel campaign, which would be a 2 to 3 hour side campaign named F.E.A.R Genesis. It would explore the origins of Project Origin through the perspective of a young Armacham scientist in the 1970s. This mode introduces puzzle puzzle-based gameplay and minimal combat, focusing on psychological horror. Another bit of new content: challenge arenas. Arena-style missions pit players against a wave of enemies in procedurally generated environments. Leaderboards and cosmetic rewards, so things like weapon skins, character outfits, would encourage replayability. Next up, we have the director's cut content. Restored cut levels from the original trilogy, so things like the scrapped hospital section from F.E.A.R 2, and expanded versions of fan favorite missions like the Interval 8 chase from F.E.A.R, the first one. Um, some of the technical details, so the platforms would be on PC, so Steam, Epic Game Store, PS5, Xbox Series X, with cloud streaming via Game Pass, stuff like that. The performance would be 4K with 60 FPS on consoles, with 120 FPS performance mode. PC supports DLSS 3 and ultra-wide resolutions. Release structure sold as a single package with the F.E.A.R Legacy Collection, with optional DLC for the Genesis prequel and cosmetic packs. Zero microtransactions. Don't like them. Do away with them. Um, yeah. I mean, I guess some of the marketing and community engagement, so the reveal strategy, announced with a cinematic trailer at a major gaming event like the Game Awards, showcasing Alma's terror and the revamped reflex time. Um, A developer diary series highlights of developer diary series would highlight the remaster's improvements. You could have a community beta, so a public beta for multiplayer and challenge arenas with feedback shaping the final release. So, yeah, it's an open beta basically. And then you have the collector's edition, so it would include a replica of Alma's music box, an art book, and a digital soundtrack with remixed tracks. Tracks. Yeah, that's everything. That's my pitch for a remastered F.E.A.R game. Um, yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And also leave a comment for if there's any games you'd like to see me do a video on, like anything remastered or anything like, I don't know, maybe a tabletop game that could be turned into a video game or a novel. Just hit me, let me know down in the comments. But yeah, thank you for your viewership. I'll catch you guys in the next one.